right, welcome to Cafe Wish Podcast interview.
Okay, so I have one more questions in my mind. Questions because I have a lot. Okay, so when it comes to fear, since you said that you have your faith, you have different definition of faith for you. So from that faith, when do you feel fear?
That's a very good question. Fear is something that it's a chemical response in the brain. Fear, from my understanding, is something that the brain produces to keep people, ourselves. Our brains try to keep us alive, try to keep us safe from harm, right? So it's a chemical reaction in the mind or in the brain that informs our mind or our thinking that there's possible danger. And usually fear is not something like a paranoia, right? Someone who is, or phobia, excuse me.
Yeah.
Paranoia can be associated with fear. I meant to say phobia.
Yeah.
A phobia is something that no one has experienced, right? But they, quote unquote, are afraid of something. Like there's something called negrophobia. Did you know that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, something called negrophobia. Is basically where people are afraid of black people in whatever form they come in, whether they're black Asian, black African, black Australian, black European, black South American, black North American. Though there's some people, remember, phobia is not based upon experience. Phobia is based upon what you think, but you haven't experienced it, right? Or it can be word of mouth, right? People can say things, watch movies. It's like, have you ever played a game called Telephone growing up?
No.
Okay. Well, in the States, really quickly, as a kid, we used to play a game called Telephone. You would start the conversation saying one thing, and you pass it down. By the time you get to the end, the conversation is totally different. So I'm applying that type of way of thinking to when people talk about phobias and in regards to negrophobia. So there are now black, quote unquote, now is only attached to people who are this is how it's used today, right? If someone says they're black, they're referring to people who are recently from Africa, right, within the last 500 years or so. So due to colonization and slavery, right, the transatlantic slave trade, that's how it's used. I don't use it that way. When I say black, I'm talking about people who are indigenous to all lands, right? Who not only
Not just in the skin color.
no skin color. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, because there's different types of black people. There's mulatto black, and there's traditional what people would think of black, but there's different variations of black. Like I said, there's black Asians, there's black Australians, there's black Europeans, there's black Africans, there's black South Americans, there's black North Americans. But how it's typically used is referring to people who are from Africa or recently from Africa, or have African ancestry within the last 500 years, once again, due to transatlantic slave trade. I don't use it that way, but that's how people use it, okay, for their cultural politics, color politics, ideology, social geopolitics, all that craziness, their economics. This is how people use it, and countries and nations use it, quote unquote black. But going back to negrophobia, when I was growing up, I had some quote unquote white friends who never experienced black people before. They never had black friends before.
Okay.
So they had a lot of questions. Oh, is it true that black people all like chicken? Is it true that all black people play basketball? Is it true that black people... I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? And is it true that a lot of black people are in prison? Is it true that black people are criminals? So they have all these, is it true isms based upon going back to the telephone thing? Conversation starts, and by the time you get to the end of the line of conversations, it's a whole different ballpark altogether of what they're talking about. So Negrophobia is based upon having fear of something, quote unquote, fear of something without any experience. So it's called irrational fear. Negrophobia is an irrational fear because it's not based upon experience. It's based upon what they heard, what they saw in a movie, what they, heard on TV or heard from the news. They saw on the ad or on commercials, what they read, what their friends told them, what their family told them, or what they just come up with in their own mind. Fear for me, in literal sense, or in the true sense, is once again, it's a chemical compound or chemical reaction in the brain causing an emotional response in the mind to believe that there's something dreadful or something that needs to be afraid of to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So as it pertains to faith, okay, what does that have to do with faith? To answer your question, so I believe fear is important, but I have to balance that fear with rationale and faith. Yeah. So in a situation, if I'm walking down the street, here's an example, and it's very dark outside, right? I used to be afraid to go outside. I used to be afraid.
Because of the dark.
Yeah, just in general. Like, I used to be afraid just to go outside and walk around, But I had to conquer that fear. So as an example, walking down the street at nighttime in the city was dreadful for me because there was a lot of movement, a lot of things going on. So my triggers were going off crazy. So fear is all in my mind, but I had to walk by faith, not by sight, right? So I had to walk by faith, not by sight. So I had to change my mind, which was an action. I had to take an actionable step to talk to myself, say, hey, you're okay.
You're okay. Everything is fine.
Everything is fine. You see
just
a lot
walk straight.
Just keep walking.
Yeah.
And
that's faith. You believe that nothing will happen.
Or nothing bad will happen, right?
Nothing bad will happen.
Yeah. So, but my fear, my brain is telling me there's danger all around. But I had to tell myself, or tell my mind to tell my brain, however that works, however consciousness works in this regard, I had to meditate actively to say, I'm okay. Overcome the fear. So I had to use my faith. But I had to use not just faith, I had to use rationale, logic. I had to be like, okay, people are having a good time. People are walking around. Yeah, they're screaming, but they're drinking. They're smoking cigarettes. They're partying. Or people are just out with their family and friends. I had to rationalize, okay, what do I see? These are called grounding techniques, right? And it's also a form of mindfulness and meditation. So I had to talk to myself to calm myself down. So does that answer your question about faith?
Yeah. And also with fear, like, yes, it's a toxic, and also toxic in our mind, which make us, feel the fear. But then, because of faith, it can overcome the fear.
And the reason why, I'm just thinking really quickly, the reason why it's not a phobia, because I've actually experienced bad situations at night in cities. So it's not an irrational fear, right, of something I didn't experience. I've experienced situations where I've been, going through some life-threatening situations at night in cities. So it's not like something that I'm just thinking about and it's, no. It's based upon trauma. You understand what I'm saying? So trauma is an experience thing. It's not a phobia, right? So
trauma is something that you experience.
Yeah.
You will for me, you will never have a trauma if you did not experience it. I mean, you can feel the fear, but you cannot feel the trauma unless you experience it.
Yeah.
Well, makes sense.
All right. I just want to ask, do you have any questions about fear?
No more.
No more questions?
I'm satisfied with your answers.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Hopefully I did a good
And
job.
connecting it to faith, that's, very well said.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.